like that. We ain't going out like that. Watch me go and bounce right back. Cause we ain't going out like that, no. We ain't going out like that. We ain't going out like that. Watch me go and bounce right back. We ain't going out like that.
Welcome to Any Given Season, a bowl season podcast. We have a very special show for you today. We are coming to you from Nassau in the Bahamas, and we are very fortunate to be joined today by the Honorable Philip Brave Davis, KC, the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Prime Minister, thank you so much for joining us, for hosting us in your beautiful country. Look at the background behind us.
Well, it is indeed a pleasure to have you here, and I want to thank you for having me on your podcast this afternoon.
We're really looking forward to talking to you about everything sports in the Bahamas. We're going to talk about the Battle for Atlantis. We're going to talk about the Bahamas Bowl, all the other sports you have going on here. But I want to talk about you first. You're a big sports fan. Where did your love of sports come from?
Well, I don't know where the fire was ignited in me, but I recall from a very young child I liked to run. And from running, I was introduced to, first of all, baseball, soccer, cricket back in those days, and just being with friends and competing, and just the very joy of being with other friends and competing against each other in wholesome fun really ignited the fire in me for sports. And I've always been a very avid sports fan from then.
It really brings people together. I know you have children. Did they play sports as well?
Yes, all of most of my children did. Most of them were competitive swimmers who represented the Bahamas on the international scene in swimming. And most of them as well played baseball. My two sons played baseball avidly. One of whom went to Tampa University and played for Tampa.
Oh, very good baseball player.
Years ago, yes. Yeah.
What is your favorite sport?
Baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball.
Well, yeah, you certainly have an amazing player for the New York Yankees right now. My favorite team, maybe your favorite team now because Jazz is there?
Well, it is now my favorite team, but the Yankees team was always one of those teams that the Bahamians found a love for. And they now have all the Bahamas pulling for them because of Jazz. And of course, Jazzism Durant was one of our iconic players. He came from a little league called Freedom Farm, where he developed some of his skills. That was a local league that Greg Burris founded, and we helped develop the place. And so we're so proud of him. And particularly now that he's added some energy to the New York Yankees lineup. And you can see him bubbling now. He seems to be very happy there. And so we're so proud of Jazz.
Well, as a Yankee fan, I'm happy he's there as well. If you could meet any professional athlete other than those that are native to your country, who would it be and why?
Well, who would it be? I think I'd like to meet Ohtani right now because he's such a phenomenal player. Hitting, running, speed, and power. He's one I'd like to meet. And also the fact that he is not just an everyday player, he's also a pitcher. And amongst the best in the league. So for my money at the moment, I think Ohtani is perhaps the phenomenal baseball player today.
He is phenomenal, that's for sure. You grew up on Cat Island. Did you ever dream of becoming the leader of a nation that is the current industry leader of sports and investment in the Caribbean? How many people are on Cat Island?
Well, when I grew up in Cat Island, we had, around that time, we had about 5,000 back in those days. That I would have been where I am today at that time, not in my wildest dreams. Because I grew up at a time when hopes and dreams to be somebody like myself were never there. We worked, those are times when we lived off the land, as we said. We subsisted, my grandparents who I grew up with were subsistence farmers. We lived off the land, and what we grow, we eat. And that is how I grew up. No one would have thought that anyone from Cat Island could be anybody. We were always underestimated, either because of the color of our skin or because of the area we came from. And so that is what I call the promise of the Bahamas. Once you work hard, adopt the values that's been instilled in us, because that's one thing that the Bahamian grandparents and parents did back in those days. They instilled values of hard work, dedication, love for each other, and each other loving one another, lift each one of us up. And that is, I think, what has put me where I am today.
That is fantastic. Great message there. Let's talk about sports in the Bahamas a little bit. What is the importance of sports tourism for the huge ecosystem of the islands of the Bahamas?
Of course, the Bahamas is an ocean state spread over 100,000 square miles of pristine, tranquil water, as you can see. And the warmth of our people, the hospitality, the fact that a lot of Bahamians are interested in sports. We then, from those elements, thought it best to assist our hotels, what we call in the low seasons. We sought to attract what I call international sporting events that will assist hotels and other tourism products in the Bahamas to thrive. And we went out and started what I call sports in paradise. And that we have been very successful in that. We've been hosting for quite a while a number of international events. For example, we hosted the World Cup of Beach Soccer several years ago. We inaugurated World Relays, and been hosting it ever since, except for a year or 2 years ago, and we have just we have reconnected with the IWF, and we hosted the World Relays again this year. And of course, we have the Battle for Atlantis, we have Bahamas hoops, and in between, there's still a lot of other small events where colleges come over to train and practice. The opening of come next week or so, 2 weeks or so, we'll be hosting some of the NBA teams. We'll spend a week or two just to train, have training camps in. So and fact of the matter is, once you come back again.
Or you don't leave in the first place. I don't want to leave.
Happens.
You mentioned the Battle for Atlantis. When I was coming from the airport, a tremendous gentleman was taking me in his car, and I was asking a lot of questions about your islands. I was asking him about that event. He was telling me how proud the people of the Bahamas are to have the Battle for Atlantis here, how exciting it is for them to see American college basketball live and in person here. As an American, I know what it means for Americans to come here and participate in that event, but I didn't realize how important it was for the people who live here as well to be exposed to that level of sport.
Yeah, and as I said, the Bahamians love sports, and they participate, particularly the American sports. And what you'll find very often, a number of these teams have a Bahamian playing on their team as well. It's from Buddy Hield to DeAndre Ayton, all who played in the Battle for Atlantis tournament. This year, we're going to see another Bahamian playing from Baylor. Baylor's supposed to be here. And I want you to keep your eye on A.J. Edgecombe, who's just a freshman, who's joined Baylor. They'll be playing here. And I predict that he'll be a one and done. A.J. Edgecombe, keep your eyes on him.
I will keep it. And you should keep your eye on Providence College. I live in Rhode Island in the United States, and my son is a sophomore at Providence College, and he works for the basketball team, so he'll be here working. So
okay, great.
I'll watch Baylor, and you can watch Providence.
Okay, good.
All right. Tell me about how the Battle for Atlantis and the other events, how do they impact tourism in the Bahamas? Why are they important?
Well, quite apart from impacting tourism, the teams that come like Duke, North Carolina, Arizona, Ohio State, which have these huge followings, they usually bring 2,000-3,000 visitors with them. So it's not just the event that's happening, but that event has rippled into enormous economic impact for the country. And that's part of the reasoning behind having these sporting events in the Bahamas, because it does assist tourism product to make the kind of impact for our people that would not have otherwise happened with those events being here. And so with the Battle for Atlantis, usually there are about 8 teams. I say 8 teams, and 8 teams, each team will bring at least 1,000 or more persons. So the hotel is usually full. Money is being spent. Of course, there's the casino, they go and gamble. And of course, there's excursions, swimming and fishing. And that's what has made us so successful in hosting these sporting events.
You know, a lot of tourist destinations spend a lot of money promoting their location versus other locations to come and take a vacation, et cetera. The 12 games that are played at the Battle for Atlantis are all on ESPN in the United States. How important is that exposure?
Oh, that exposure, you could hardly pay for that. I mean, if you look at what I call the advertising dollars, to be able to, every minute, to see something saying the Bahamas during the course of these events, that is, that's immeasurable insofar as the cost to the Bahamas. And so that exposure is extremely important. And again, it's one of the features of why we are behind hosting events such as Alfred Lattice, Bahamas, and the rest. And of course, we are very grateful to ESPN for partnering with us and with Atlantis to put on this event to showcase what is happening in the Bahamas.
You mentioned the Bahamas Bowl. When Lee Miller brought the Bahamas Bowl to the Bahamas, there's 43 bowl games. This is the only one outside the continental U.S. Were you skeptical, or did you think it would grow to what it is today?
Well, as I said, I'm a sports fan, and I would have given it a try anyhow, whether it's going to work or not. There was some skepticism about the event. What really attracted us to adopt that program when we did was the fact that it could be the one and only bowl game outside of the continental United States. And for the Bahamas to be the first to host it was a tremendous honor for us to do. And so we embraced it. And look what it did. I remember either in the second year or the first year, the ESPY Award, it was one of the plays. First year.
Yeah.
The team,
Western Kentucky against Central Michigan. Yeah, it's my job to know those things.
Yeah, well, thank you. Reminding me, but the final play of that game was the ESPY Award play for that year. And again, what tremendous exposure it gave to the Bahamas, because every time it was on ESPN and they flashed the ESPY Award, the Bahamas was coming up. And we could never pay for that in terms of advertising dollar.
One of the things we promote about bowl season and all of the bowl games is the opportunity for student athletes and their fan bases to experience unique destinations within the United States. Obviously, this is a very unique destination for them. What does it mean to get to be able to share your culture on a place you call home with a group of people that may have never been here before?
Well, again, I think when we think about sports and sporting events, I think that's the one thing that brings us all together. It's a time when differences are set aside. It's a time when joy and exhilaration are shared commonly amongst all. Even when you lose, winners and losers, there's still a sense of exhilaration, a sense of joy, a sense of camaraderie. And so for us, be able to expose who we are, what we are about to the world is an element that, again, that inspires us to continue along this path of promoting sports in paradise. And of course, our country, the linchpins, the plank of our economy is tourism. 80% of our gross domestic product is derived from tourism. And as long as we could continue to expose who we are to the world, and by word of mouth, people are talking about the Bahamas, telling about their experience in the Bahamas, it will keep us in the forefront and ensuring that our people benefit from who we are and what we're all about.
How has the Bahamas Bowl inspired further investment in American football?
Well, it has. That's one of the games we don't play as we should. And it's one of the priority for me to see how we can bring more attention to playing football. What the Bahama Bowl has done has really inspired flag football more than the actual sport itself. But for me, football is one of the sports that could attract all the demographics of a society. If people say you're too big to play basketball, well, I could put you on my offensive defensive line. If you're too small to play rugby, I could make you a wide receiver or a defensive back. And so and that's how I see it. And we're trying to press upon our people. Our challenge is having coaches, people know the game, teach the game properly, because parents recognize the challenges that could be faced if you don't know the game, right? The injuries that could occur from it. And that's where we're trying to recruit some coaches who can teach our young children how to play the sport and play it safely.
If you played football, what position would you have played?
I'd probably been a running back.
Yeah. You were probably pretty quick back in the day, I bet.
I was.
All right. What are some of your favorite parts of the Bahamian culture that are on display when the teams come to the Bahamas Bowl?
I'll say the people themselves. We are hospitable. We enjoy and we love people, and we demonstrate that by how we interact with everyone. So that is the key for me. I think that is what you'll find. And then if I subsidiary, I like you to enjoy our music, Rake and Scream, John Canoe, and all those aspects of loving people, our Jonko music, our Rake and Scream music. If you enjoy all those things, and of course the cuisine, don't forget your boiled fish, your peas and rice and potato salad, and that is what we're all about.
Well, I've been here for a couple days, and I agree with everything you said. The people here are beautiful. They really are. They're friendly. The food is fantastic. I don't want to leave. I'm going to have to come back.
Please do. Don't let us be. I'll keep coming.
Last question for you. The Bahamas Bowl uses the tagline, "Bowls are better in the Bahamas." Parting words. Tell me what else is better in the Bahamas.
Well, that's your tagline, but our tagline, it is better in the Bahamas. That's our tagline. That's the tagline we tell to everyone. It is better. You can come and just feel it yourself. Get some sand in your toes, and you'll keep coming back. And we have a song that if the good Lord did not take a holiday, why then he made the Bahamas.
I love that. That's a good way to end. Prime Minister, thank you so much for joining.
It's my pleasure. I
really appreciate it.
I want to thank you all for the exposure to giving my country through SPN and what you're doing now. And I also would like to thank Elia, of course, for her assiduous, dogged determination to ensure that the Bahamas stays in the fray in promoting sports in the Bahamas.
I'm pretty sure it will.
Actually.
And thank you all for listening for this episode of Any Given Season. You can catch all past and future episodes everywhere you listen to your podcasts, and you can catch all the bowl season information on our website, bowlseason.com, and on social media at Bowl Season. Thanks for joining us.
We ain't going out like that. We ain't going out like that. Watch me go and bounce right back. 'Cause we ain't going out like